Well, I did a Halloween tier list and a Nightmare on Elm Street tier list. So now it's time to talk about my boy Jason and do a tier list on Friday the 13th. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good one today. I'm the movie ranker, and today I'm going to be tier list ranking all the Friday the 13th movies. Friday the 13th is my favorite franchise out of the big three. Even though I'm not going to have all these movies up in top tier, there's still some bad movies in here, but I just seem to enjoy watching the bad ones more in this franchise than the other two. Jason's my boy. Getting into the tiers here at the top, I got top tier, then I got great flick, a damn good time, perfectly okay, dumb fun, what were you thinking, and lastly, pure garbage. We'll see if we end up there today, but we'll find out. I'm going to get right into this, not waste any more time. And I'm going to go with the original Friday the 13th from 1980. This movie gets so much hate nowadays. I just don't understand it. Almost everybody who commented on my Friday the 13th regular ranking all put this one in last place and said it was pure garbage, a 0 out of 10. I'm like, did you guys watch the same movie as me? Have you seen like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and all these other 1 out of 10 movies like Troll 2? This is not on that level, guys. I think this is a pretty good movie. It has flaws for sure, like the whole twist and reveal on who the killer is could have been done much better. Even though I love Betsy Palmer, but you don't see her the whole movie, Pamela Voorhees, so you didn't even have an idea of her. So yeah, they could have fixed the whodunit aspect much better, but the kills are solid by Tom Savini. Great effects in here, especially for the time. Pretty fun, thrilling third act, and I think the atmosphere, you get this creepy horror feeling when you're watching this movie, which they kind of lose in the later sequels. So I really like that. So to me, I'm putting the original Friday the 13th in a damn good time. I mean, I've seen it probably 20 times by this point, so I really enjoy it anyway. I know a lot of you don't, but it's just what it is. So I think Alice could have been a better final girl. I actually prefer every other character in the movie aside from Alice, but she's serviceable, so there's that. Up next, we got Friday the 13th Part 2, and I personally feel like this is a step up in the right direction. After the original, the kills, maybe the effects aren't quite as good, but the creativity's there. Like you got the dude going down the stairs in the wheelchair, you got the spear, the shish kebab kill, like with the two in bed. So while the effects aren't by Tom Savini, of course, the creativity is still there, which I like. I think they stepped it up in terms of characters. Ginny makes a badass final girl, much better than Alice, and I like how she uses her psychology courses and stuff to defeat Jason. Pretty cool stuff. Jason himself is decent with his sack head. I mean, he's very clumsy and whatnot, but it still makes for a really fun and thrilling, engaging third act, I should say. So yeah, a decent movie. I think it steps it up. We get Jason in here. So yeah, I'm going to put it under great flick. I really like this one. Moving on to Friday the 13th Part 3, the 3D film. And another movie I feel like kind of gets a lot of hate nowadays. I feel like the final act, like the last 30 minutes of this, is masterful. If the whole movie was like the final act in here, it would be top tier for me. It's so good with Chris Higgins fighting off Jason and really using her wits and, smacking him with a piece of wood and everything and trapping them by the barn and everything. I think she does a lot of good stuff and she's easy on the eyes. So I love Chris Higgins. Few things that just bring this movie down just a bit are the first half suffers from bad pacing. It's a little slow, and obviously the 3D effects didn't age well at all. That should have been never a thing. Aside from that, I pretty much really enjoy this flick. Some cool kills. I like the harpoon kill with the girls in the water. That's really cool, and that kind of used the 3D effect in a good way, where most of the rest of this movie, it's not used good at all. And the theme song for Part 3 is a freaking banger. It's hard not to freaking start moving when this movie starts playing because the song is so damn good. Very groovy. And lastly, the whole ending, the dream sequence could have been done better. I feel like it's still creepy where you see Jason like clawing at the window and everything without his mask on. Very cool stuff, but I hate the part where Pamela comes out of the water and everything. It looks so dumb, and they're just trying to, do the same ending that they just did for 2 movies in a row. So yeah, Jason gets his mask in this one. It's a pretty fun movie. I'm gonna put it up under. I'm gonna put it under great flick. Over time, this one has really grown on me. I really like part 3. Up next is Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, the movie where they brought back Tom Savini to kill Jason for good. And damn, I love Tom Savini's effects in here. He did a great job with the original, but he really stepped it up in this film. Every kill is gruesome. Oh, where they're talking about the cleaver to the face, the friggin' smushing Pretty Boy's face in the shower and crunching it and everything. So many damn cool kills in here. And even Jason himself, his death is pretty brutal, pretty gory, and a hell of a good time. I mean, this whole movie is the quintessential slasher film. Like, they really check off all the boxes when it comes to a slasher. Jason's very intimidating. He even runs at times in here. The kills are great. We got the kind of more throwaway characters on one side who are partying and everything. It's still fun to watch. But then we have characters we actually care about more of. Anyway, care more about the Jarvis family with Trish, Tommy, and their mother. So I like that we get the 2 groups, and one group we really care about, the family. So yeah, it got great atmosphere. So like I said, this movie basically checks all the boxes for a slasher movie. It's friggin' top tier if you ask me. So damn good. Moving on, up next is Friday the 13th Part 5. Now, where am I going to put this one? In a way, I want to put this one in dumb fun because it's definitely dumb. It's very dumb. I mean, the opening kill to this film is over a chocolate bar at like a mental institution or halfway home or something like that in the woods. So, very weird movie. Has like this Scooby-Doo style twist with the killer, how it's not really Jason, it's the paramedic driver. So I can understand why people hate this movie, how they say it's stupid, because it is. It's a dumb movie. But I feel like it's one of the most rewatchable films in the franchise. It's one that after you know what you're getting yourself into, it just becomes more fun and more fun and more entertaining. I mean, there's so many cool scenes in here, whether we're talking about characters dancing like Violet or these damn enchiladas with Demon, like very fun, entertaining scenes. Ton of kills in here, like way more kills than we got before, but a lot of them are kind of throwaway kills to characters we don't even know. Like, we'll just meet a character just to be killed off, basically. But I really do like the kill with the guy with the belt around the eyes at the tree where he's twisting it. And Deborah Voorhees getting the actress getting the friggin' this part of her nose sliced with the garden friggin' things. Some brutal stuff in here, but the MPAA started to crack down on them, so they couldn't go really out there with the brutal kills. But there is a lot of crazy stuff in this film. I feel like everybody who made this film was probably on cocaine, and it kind of shows in the mid 80s. It's very wild and crazy, but it's fun. Even the third act, how it's raining and the Jason guy is coming after him, where it's not really Jason, it's Roy Burns. I like the look of Roy Burns. He looks kind of cool. So yeah, like I said, it's very dumb, but it's very entertaining. I love the hillbillies next door too. They're always swearing and everything, and they're just crazy, crazy. Tommy is wacky in here too. Like, I mean, out of the 3 movies that Tommy's in, this is definitely the weirdest. I get he has PTSD and everything, but like, he's doing kung fu on people and having crazy nightmares and whatnot. So it's a wild movie. I get it if you don't like it, but to me, I want to put it under perfectly okay. It should probably go into dumb fun, but I feel like it's more than just dumb fun. There's more to it. So I'm going to put it in perfectly okay. It's almost a damn good time. It really should be up there in damn good time, but it has a little too many flaws for that, so it's staying there. Moving on to one of my favorites, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. If you've seen my other rankings, if you've seen me talk about Friday the 13th at all, you would know I absolutely love Jason Lives. I love the whole opening, how they resurrect Jason by accident, Frankenstein style, with the lightning coming down, hitting the post. Very cool. Very reminiscent of the Universal monsters. The movie looks great in black and white. If you haven't tried it, try it out. It feels like an old school monster movie when you do that. I love Tommy Jarvis in here, played by Tom Matthews, I believe. He really gives a hell of a performance in here. Really fun. Him and Megan make a great duo in this film. And you're just watching Jason go around just murdering everybody trying to make it back to camp. And there's some good humor in there that actually works and doesn't go against the horror. It's meta at times where they're like, they finally got kids at the camp, which is awesome. It feels like a rock star film with the Alice Cooper songs and everything. We get that great RV scene where Jason taking out that guy while he's driving the RV and it flips and everything and rolls on its side. It feels bigger. Out of all the movies we got up to this point in the franchise, this one actually feels like it's like a blockbuster with the budget. Even though it was not a crazy budget or anything, but when we get stunts like that RV stunt and that, it just makes it feel like a bigger movie than what it is, which is great. The kills are pretty awesome. Nothing too gory or nothing, but I love the cop getting bent backwards and cracking his back. The whole paintball stuff is fun. I know a lot of people don't like that, but the paintball scene is hilarious, especially that guy going on about women should stay in the kitchen and everything because he's losing to a girl at paintball. So everything about this film is freaking awesome, especially when we're at the camp with the kids and everything. Jason at a camp with kids, like, there's definitely more at stake this time around. So, and I just like the way that they dispose of Jason by putting him back where everything started, where he drowned it in the lake. So I freaking love Jason Lives. I'm putting it way up here in top tier, and I like it even more than the final chapter. It's my favorite without a doubt. Moving on to Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, a movie that got butchered so hard by the MPAA. Apparently, all these kills were so amazing, but we barely get to see anything when it comes to the kills. He's about to kill someone, and it will either cut or show a shadow or whatnot. You don't actually get to see the carnage candy, and it's so unfortunate, especially if they put in all this work for nothing. But at least we get the effects on Jason himself, and this is one of the most badass looks that Jason ever sported. He comes out of the water after being chained down there for so long, and he's like rotting, piece of his mask missing. You got bones sticking out in different spots. He looks friggin' killer. I absolutely love his look up until his mask comes off. Then I find he looks like, I don't know, like a gorilla or something. I'm not a big fan of the unmasking in this flick, but yeah, everything else is pretty damn good about Jason. And Kane Hodder makes his first appearance as Jason. And I think he's a great Jason. I would have loved to see him in Freddy Vs. Jason, which just unfortunately never got to do that. But yeah, he's definitely intimidating in this flick. And he's up against a girl named Tina, who is like a Carrie. She has telepathic powers, which you finally get someone that can match Jason's intensity. And they can actually have a good showdown, you know? And they do. The final 20 minutes or so of this film has great fire stunts, house exploding, freaking electricity, everything that you can think of is shot at Jason in the final act, which is really fun. Like I said, the kills all get butchered. The characters are some of the weakest in the franchise, very forgettable aside from our main characters. I friggin' hate Bad News Cruz, Tina's therapist or whatever he is, just trying to exploit her. Despicable, man. One of the most evil characters in this entire franchise. Worse than Jason, that's for sure. So, while there's a lot to like about this movie, there's also a lot of flaws. Especially that whole ending with Tina's dad coming up and taking Jason and bringing him back down. I really wish they would have went with the original idea where her dad was all decaying and like a zombie coming up. That would have been cool, but again, they couldn't do it, so you just get the dad coming up with a bit of mud on his face or something, and it's pretty ridiculous. So love the stunts, love the action when it comes to Tina and Jason, love the look of Jason, but man, the characters are so bland, the kills are butchered, a dumb ending, and most of this movie is this people running through the woods. You're like, what the fuck is going on? So yeah, I like the movie better than I used to. I'm gonna put under perfectly okay, but I actually prefer part 5 to this one, in all honesty. Up next is Friday the 13th, part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan. Oh boy, this is another one that people really hate. Like, even when they're ranking all three franchises in the big three, this one sometimes is at the bottom, and I'm like, what? Yes, the marketing wasn't great for this film. They made you believe that Jason was going to be taking over New York for an hour and a half, which is not the case. It's more of him on a boat for 3/4 of the movie, and then in the finale, they end up in New York. Where once you know that going in, I think I still appreciate the film. I still like Jason on the boat. I mean, there's nowhere to run. It's actually a great setting. Some of the kills are pretty great in here. I like the sauna rock kill. Tamara getting hit with the glass and everything in the bathroom is great. Again, a lot of the kills could have been better, but they were all cut back because of the MPAA again, unfortunately. So we could have got better, but what we got is still pretty great. I love Kelly Hu's character's death where she gets picked up by the throat and slammed on the dance floor. Ooh, it looks brutal. That's a kill where you don't need blood or nothing. You're still like, oh my god, that was intense. The way Kane Hodder slams her to the ground. And of course, Julius trying to box Jason is always fun to watch. And when we do get to New York, it is really awesome. Like, especially when he's in Times Square and everything, kicking the stereo. The movie does have problems. Rennie is not the best final girl. I don't hate her like most people, but I do hate her visions and how she like visions baby Jason and kid Jason all the time throughout this movie, and he looks different every time. It's so inconsistent. Got that. We got her Uncle Charles, which I think he's a better character than Bad News Cruz, but he's still kind of a piece of shit. If you've seen the film, you know what I mean. So yeah, it's tough to place this movie. I enjoy it, man. I throw this on at least once a year. A lot of people don't like it, but I get a kick out of it. Again, it don't make a whole lot of sense, like how Jason ends up on the boat in the first place. Like, Crystal Lake does not connect to the ocean. So, yeah, that makes zero sense. I do like Jason's look. A lot of people hate that. He got the yellow nicotine mask and he's like full of slime and wet the whole movie. I think that's cool. He does look a little bit ridiculous when his mask comes off at the end in the sewers, but again, the movie's flawed, that's for sure, but I still think it's highly entertaining. So for me, I'm putting it in the perfectly okay. And I think depending on the day, I prefer it over part 7, but it's really tight with part 7. I think I'll still give part 7 the edge in this video. Moving on to part 9, Jason Goes to Hell. Oh my god, this movie is just... I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. It's actually the first Friday the 13th I ever seen. I caught it on TV in the late 90s. And as a kid, I didn't know what the hell was going on, even though I wasn't into Friday the 13th at the time. But as an adult, I still don't know what the hell's going on. Like, who approved this? We get Jason barely in the movie. He's in like the first 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes. And throughout the movie, he's body jumping with this demonic worm thing going into other bodies. And it's just not a Friday the 13th movie. It doesn't feel like it at all. It feels more like The Hidden or Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something to Friday the 13th. And I feel like that could have been fixed. I feel like if they could have still did that concept, but the viewer could have still seen Jason doing all the killings, right? In our vision, but maybe the vision of the people getting killed could have seen the person that he switched bodies with. That could have worked. But yeah. This movie, man. I don't like the look of Jason. I think he looks stupid. He has that meatball head when we do get to see him. He grunts and stuff, which is stupid. A lot of people like the intro where they blow him up. I think it's dumb. So the only thing this movie has going for it is the kills are brutal as hell. We get some really icky body horror in here as well, like people's faces stuck to the floor and their skin ripping off and really crazy stuff. The tent scene, he puts a pole through a guy and like rips it up, or through the girl, I mean. Oof, intense. Some of the craziest kills in the franchise, especially if you get to see the uncut version of this movie. Damn, it's brutal. But that's kind of the only thing I really enjoy about it. And there's one sequence where they're at the diner, where Jason comes and they all have to fight him off at the diner, I think is really thrilling and engaging. The rest of this movie, kind of crap, kind of tries adding in too much mythology and lore this late into the game on your ninth entry where nothing else really adds up at this point. They couldn't even spell Voorhees right on the friggin' sign at the house, which is like, how do you fuck that up? Like, you guys don't deserve to have a good movie, but I don't blame Adam Marcus. I mean, he just got out of college. He was like 21 when they handed him this movie to make. So, I mean, it was his first time. It is what it is. He was inexperienced. But damn, someone should have said something to him. The ending's cool, where you friggin' get Freddy's glove coming up and grabbing the mask. That's something that always stuck with me my whole life. I used to think it was pretty freaky as a kid too. But man, I'm at the point where I'm like, what were you thinking? That's where I'm putting it in, because it's like, especially in this franchise, it just doesn't work. This movie definitely has its fans, especially as of the last 10 years. But man, I'm not one of them. Up next, we have the movie Jason X. Ooh, now this movie was pretty much made while they were waiting for Freddy vs. Jason to be done. So yeah, it's Jason in space. Where else do you think I'm going to put it? I'm putting it up in dumb fun, because that's what it is. On the surface level, I understand if you put this in last place, because it is very dumb. The reason why it kind of works for me is because it seems like they knew they were making a dumb, bad Friday the 13th movie. Like, the characters seem like they get it. They're not playing it serious, you know? There's a lot of humor in here. Especially that scene like where Janessa, I think her name is, gets sucked out of the space station or whatever they're on, the spacecraft, through a little hole. And she's like, this sucks on so many levels. And she ends up getting sucked like through a grate or something. Like stuff like that. It makes the movie fun. The holographic room or hologram rooms scenes are really fun, especially when they use it against Jason and make him think that he's back at Crystal Lake. That's really cool. And the idea of these nanobots repairing Jason, I thought was really brilliant. I just hate the look of Jason when he's at the starting of this movie. I feel like they didn't put any effort into his look. He just looks like a regular person with a mask. Don't like his hair. Don't like how you can see his skin and looks like he never been damaged before in his life. That's dumb. And I also don't like when he becomes Uber Jason. I just think it's a bad take on the Terminator, and he's not that intimidating to me. He just looks ridiculous with his red eyes and everything. So there's definitely things I don't like about this film, but I think it's a fun time if you go in knowing that it's a dumb movie. And like I said, I appreciate that the movie doesn't take itself too seriously overall. Like, I mean, there's some fun to be had here. Especially when you got this android, this friggin' AI robot in this film that a guy made basically just to sleep with her. She's female, and she gets an upgrade in this movie to take on Jason, which is really fun and badass as well. So yeah, it's just a dumb, fun movie. Speaking of dumb fun, up next I got Freddy vs. Jason, the ultimate battle between two foes. And for what it's worth, as a versus movie, this is one of the better versus movies I've seen. You know, I think it's better than like Kong and Godzilla. I think it's better than Alien versus Predator. It seemed to get it more right within the stories, like, you know, within these universes. It felt more right, this movie. It's definitely a popcorn movie where you turn your brain off and just you're there for the ride. The characters aren't great or nothing, but Freddy and Jason do a lot of damage, especially Jason. I think he gets most of the kills in this movie. So the kills are pretty awesome. I love the whole cornfield scene where he just makes a huge massacre. Robert Englund kills it as Freddy with his dialogue and his mannerisms and everything. Great portrayal. I think he did an excellent job here, and I like his look too. The makeup is really well done in Freddy vs. Jason. And this is definitely more of a Nightmare on Elm Street type movie within the storyline, you know. Freddy using Jason to make people scared of Freddy and bring back his name so he can go back into the nightmares. Kind of genius. I really like that. But the things I don't like Jason. I don't like how he's portrayed by Ken. I forget his last name, Zinger something. Anyway, irrelevant. I feel like it should have been Kane Hodder, especially since he did the last 4 movies and he was ready to do this and he never even got a phone call to do it, which is just a shame. The other guy, he was just too zombie-like. He just moved like he was friggin' so slow. He looked like a black troll. Like the skin was way too black and the pointy ears and everything. So don't like the look of Jason, his big ass coat and everything. But Jason does get some awesome moments, especially when he hauls Freddy into the real world and he's just beating the shit out of him. From that moment to the ending of the film, it's just pure carnage candy. Such an awesome popcorn type flick. You're just cheering on them on while blood's flying on the docks, and it's awesome. But like I said, while the story is really good for this type of movie, the characters are all throwaway basically. So it is what it is. It's definitely one you have to turn your brain off on, but I think it's a damn good time if you ask me. And as I said, for a versus movie, they did this one pretty well. Okay, last but not least is Friday the 13th, the 2009 reboot, where they basically take parts from the first four movies, put them together, and also kind of do their own thing on top of that. And in that regard, they did a pretty damn good job. Derek Mears is a badass as Jason as well. He's very intimidating, the way he chases people and just his look in general. He's more clever. He's kind of the hunter type. He has like little tripwires and everything going around with bells, so he knows where people's walking, where they are, and he can use the underground tunnels to get places quicker. All that's awesome. Great explanation on all that stuff, and makes it less supernatural, if you will, and more realistic. The kills are brutal in here. The ending to this movie always disappoints me. Once we get to the barn and they fight off Jason, I feel like it's a really weak final act for how this movie plays out, because it's fairly solid up to that point. But really the best part of this film is in the first 20 minutes or so. We get a bunch of kills with a first group of people that we meet, and then we learn that there's more groups after. But that first group, damn, it's brutal, it's horrific. Jason gets his best kills in those moments, so I freaking love that whole intro to this film. But this movie, I feel like it's just way too polished for a Friday the 13th movie. I feel like it needed more of that grindhouse feel. Like that's something the 80s movies really got right. It had the atmosphere and the feeling of a 80s horror movie. It just did really well in that regard, where this, like I said, it's way too polished, way too nice looking. The characters all look like models and they're all completely forgettable. They're kind of tied with part 7 for the worst characters in the franchise, in my opinion. I'm just not a fan of them. They're all just a bunch of douchebags and partiers and stuff, and you're like, whatever, kill them off. The only interesting ones is that dude from Supernatural. I can't remember his name, but Jared Padalecki or something like that. Him and the girl he hangs out with for most of this movie, where they're searching for his sister. They're the more interesting characters in here. Everywhere else, throwaway. So when I first watched this reboot back when it came out, I thought it was the best Friday the 13th movie. And over the years, every time I rewatch it, I like it just a little bit less and a little bit less. And at this point, I find it's one of the least rewatchable movies in the franchise, if I'm being honest. When I put it on, I kind of get bored halfway through now for some reason, but I don't think it's as bad as these. It's not a bad movie. It's perfectly okay, but it's not one I'm running to put on. And I understand if you really like this because of how brutal, how it's a little bit more realistic and more modern, that's great. But for me, I'll take the 80s films any days over this. But like I said, it's okay. Back in the day, I would have put this up in top tier, but over the years, it has dropped for me, but it is what it is. I'm glad a lot of you still enjoy it, but that's my tier list, my tier maker list of all the Friday the 13th films, all 12. We didn't get any pure garbage films, in my opinion. I don't think any of the movies drops to the level of like Freddy's Dead or Halloween Ends or Resurrection. I feel like they're a little bit better than those crap movies, so nothing at the bottom tier, but all the other tiers has a little bit of something for everyone. And this is just my list, guys, not the right list. I will love to see how you guys rank a tier rank or regular rank the Friday the 13th franchise. Let me know what other franchises you'd like to see me do these tier lists to, because they're a lot of fun and something different. I get to revisit franchises I already ranked. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Like the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future rankings. You can catch me on Letterboxd and Instagram. Links to those are in the description of this video. Like I said, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, Thanks for watching.